Okay, welcome to lesson number 2. In lesson number 2 we're going to put an object on our game for our bird to fly through. So we're going to put a wall, if you like, that comes along the screen here, and in that wall we're going to make a hot spot or an active spot that the bird can fly through, and then the wall will move along the x coordinates, and we'll then need to make it random so that the hole in the wall is on the y coordinates, and it becomes random. There's quite a few things to do, quite a few new elements that we're going to learn in this part of the game, but I'm sure everything will go fine. So the first thing we need to do is create a new active object. So we need to insert object, all objects, and double click active, and then put that on the screen. So that's our object on the screen. We're going to need to change the shape of this now. So double click it, and the first thing I'm going to do is pick a color. So I'll pick that color, and you see it appears there. I'm going to select my diamond, delete it. So I use the selection there, highlight it, press delete. I've already picked my color. So I'll go to my fill tool, and I'll click there, and there's my object made. So there's the square. But we need to change the dimensions of this now. So in our properties, we need to go to the size position object there. We need to, I'll change the width perhaps to 45, or make it a slightly wider wall, and the height will change to 1250. And now you see we've got quite a large wall. We want it to be larger than our screen, because that's where the random element's going to come into it, for where the hole in the wall will be when we introduce the new active object part of the game. So I've changed the shape, I've changed the size of it. Now we need to go back to the image, and there's a couple of options here. This one we want to center it so that our active spot will become center. When I click here, view hotspot, and I need to then go down to click the center of the hotspot. So the first thing I did was to center my object, and then the next thing I do is view hotspot, and I click the middle square there. Now, when I scroll down roughly halfway through, because I've said hotspot and center, when I get halfway down, I'm going to see my hotspot there. So what I need to do is create a hole around this hotspot. And I guess the bigger the hole, the easier the game will be. So if you introduce new levels to the game, or you could then put smaller holes in the wall. So I'm going to select the middle, so I think it's roughly there. I'm going to delete it, perhaps delete a bit more out. If I go back to my hotspot, you'll see it's there. Just delete a little bit more. Okay, and there's the hole in the wall. So I'll click OK, and now I'll drag this down and put it in. So that's where I want perhaps my game to start there. So roughly in the middle. It's quite a large hole there, but that's up to you how much you make of it. So there's the wall made, but now we want the wall to move across towards our Flappy Bird. So we need to give it a movement. The movement we're going to give it is bouncing ball again, but this time the ball only moves in the wall only moves in one direction, that's towards us. So I click OK. So now we've got a wall that moves towards us. So if I press F8, you see it move towards us, but it's gone off the screen. So we now need to start to create some rules on our object that will mean that when it goes off the screen, it'll start again. And so we need to go to Control and E, and we need to start putting some rules in now. So we need a new rule, and we need it on our active 2, which is our wall. So we'll click that, and this time we're going to do position, but compare the position of the wall to a value. And this time we're going to, if you imagine that this is the actual game, X goes along the top, well, this corner here is 0. So when our wall gets to 0 and beyond, we want it to disappear and restart over on the other side. So I want to be lower or equal to 0. So every time the wall goes off the screen, I want it to appear somewhere else. So we now need to do some work on our active object 2. So we need to go to position, and we need to do, first of all, we need to sort out the X coordinate. So we're presented with this screen again, kind of a programming screen. We need to retrieve data from an object, and it'll be the storyboard. So it's the storyboard and its frame, and this time it'll be the frame width. And we'll click OK. So what we've said there is, I'll delete that. I'll delete that to show you it again. What we're saying is that when the object gets to a certain frame width, we want it to start again. So it'll be position, set X coordinate, retrieve data, frame width, and frame width. Frame width. Okay, so we click OK. So that's sorted out our game moving off the screen. So if I go F8 now, you'll see that he's starting again. So now we've got a game where things are happening, but it's a little bit boring because we're stuck with the hole in the same place every time, so you could probably just go on forever and get quite bored. So we now need to randomize that movement. So we need to add in another value. So this time position, set the Y coordinate, and we need to be careful when we do this. So we type in random, open the bracket, retrieve data from an object, and this time we're going to go to frame height and close the bracket. So you need, I'll do that one more time. So you need to type in random and open a bracket, retrieve data from an object, go to the chessboard and frame and height, and then close bracket. And if you've typed it in correctly, you should just click OK, and it's there. So now what's going to happen is the wall's not only going to move towards us, but it's going to randomize the height of the wall. So if I press F8 now, you'll see that we've now got the hole in the wall appearing in random positions. So it's randomized itself now, and we've now got a game where we've got some substance. So in the next lesson, we'll look at putting in some collisions and putting some lives into the game and making it a little bit more difficult. Thank you very much for listening to that lesson.